So today we're talking about my latest transition to the iPhone system and comparing it to what everybody always wants to compare it to, your camera. So let's get into this. I've got the iPhone 11, and let me make sure it's on silent mode. I've got the iPhone 11. I got it about 7-8 months ago and switched from a Google Pixel, and before that I had the LG V20. So I'm coming from almost all three different spectrums. I've had a phone with them, and my views are that Android is probably a more user-friendly phone. iPhones are not very user-friendly. They are very solid on the software and what goes into them normally whenever it goes out, other than a few software glitches here and there. Your camera, most oftentimes, if you get it probably outside that first year and a half, 2 years, they're going to be pretty solid. If you get them within that first year or so, they will have those firmware updates that you'll need to apply less frequently than what you'll have to do for an iPhone. Now, I'm going to be looking at this from a photography standpoint, and I've got two images here, and some of these you've seen, or one of these you've seen on my Instagram, or wherever you're following me out on social media, links below if you're interested in following. The other ones have not been released yet, so you guys are getting a sneak peek here first. So this panorama right here was shot on my Nikon D750, and on the same day I took this panorama on my iPhone. So you can see just the massive difference in quality. And now this is a very special image that was shot on my Nikon D750 again, and this is one shot on my iPhone. I try to keep everything the same, lighting wise, and you can just see the difference, and it doesn't look bad until you kind of punch it in, and that's when we really start to notice that the quality is a lot different between the two cameras, so to speak. So why would you want to use a iPhone or whatever camera system you're on, or whatever phone system you're on's camera whenever you have a DSLR? One is just user convenience. So for me, panorama was just simply panning left to right. Super easy to do. My Nikon D750 here, it was, taking out the tripod, extending all the legs, mounting them, screwing them down, making sure that it was stable, and I had it weighed properly to where it wouldn't move any, and then it's photo, move, photo, move, photo, move, and then I got to take it into Photoshop, and then I've got to apply the panorama effect to it, and then I've got to crop it in to get rid of any areas that I might have missed out on, and then I've got to color correct it, and then I got to break it down for Instagram, which I have to do that for your phone anyways, but it's 3 or 4 extra steps and a lot more work. Your camera weighs a couple pounds, your tripod weighs several pounds, your whole backpack weighs several pounds, and it gets very hard to manage and store all this gear. Everything in this corner back behind me is just all photography related gear, minusing bikes and the shelf and the printing equipment that is taking up space, but one full corner is just solely dedicated to photography gear. Almost everything in there can be replaced by a phone. The flash, the enhanced nighttime sight, the long exposures. Phones are getting increasingly good, and I have a photo that I took, and I don't know if I still have it anymore. Like I said, I've switched phones since then, on the LG V20 that I took at night, because I was able to manually manipulate that shutter speed, and that hugely impacts impacts how that final image is going to turn out. The more control you have over the camera settings. Some cameras you can't change that much, and as a photographer you may know, hey, this is just simply increasing the ISO. If I could just control that shutter speed, or if I could control the aperture, and the aperture isn't going to be some huge wide range and it's not going to open a lot, but if I could control those things, I could get it maybe a little better to where it doesn't introduce some of that noise and grain. With your DSLR camera, you can go, hey, I don't want to take my ISO over to 1000, so I'm going to either decrease my shutter, or I'm going to open up my aperture and let in more light. So where do these two compare to each other? As you've just seen in the last two images, they're not that comparable. So why and when and where would you want to use your iPhone? And I just got to see some photos from the new iPhone 12. Those are great. I love the nighttime side on that, and it's a lot more convenient if you and your friends are going out for a night on town and you decide like, hey, let's take a photo. A lot easier. It's simple. Like, hey, all right, go stand against the wall. Boom, click it, you're done. Instead of like, all right, let me grab out my camera, let me put this lens on, let me mount on a tripod, you know, lock it off, and then that's a lot more work. Plus, too, I have rarely, if ever, missed focus on a phone camera compared to the number of times that I have missed focus on my DSLR. So you have less focus issues, easier and quicker to take a photo. So why, when, and where would you even want to use a camera now? Well, if you're doing some kind of commercial work, or if you want to blow something up, if you're taking a portrait of somebody, you know, or if you and your significant other are wanting to hang some photos of y'all in your house, can you do it with an iPhone? The answer is yes. I just did a photo shoot. I was over at a friend's birthday. We were had some cake, we were throwing at each other, cooking out, having a good time, and I took photos on my phone and was able to print off a 5x7 and an 8x10 that looked pretty decent. Now, if I was going to print anything larger than probably that 8x10 or something around that range, then it's going to start looking a lot blurrier, a lot more softer, sorry. So then it's not going to be good. But if you're not printing anything that large, then you're normally not going to notice it. Because how it looks on your camera whenever you take it is the medium through which most people are viewing your photos anyways. They're looking at it on their phone. So if it looks good on your phone, then why bother? Because nobody is going to be, let me print this off, 30 by 40 and check this out, or 40 by 50, sorry, and look at this. Oh yes, it is very soft and out of focus. That's going to be very minimal occasions where in those situations, yeah, let me actually get my camera and mount this out. The problem with that is you never know when you're going to get that really special moment that, oh my goodness, I didn't even realize I took this. Man, now I wish I had a better quality. And there are AI tools come in all the time that are able to digitally enhance photos and to enlarge them. And that's only going to make shooting on an iPhone just more convenient and better off too. Because if now I can enlarge and increase the quality of that photo, that is less and less likely that I am to pull out my DSLR. The main things that hold me back from fully switching though are just, like I said, the size and then just the controls. I can't have that wide aperture, or I can't have a very large aperture range. But the lens selections are getting even better on phone. You notice a lot of them come with 2-4 different lens options: wide, ultra wide, telephoto, and normal lenses. The bokeh is getting pretty good. Even some of the artificial bokehs in those cameras that are digitally blurring it out for portrait mode and things like that are looking really good. And in order to replicate that on a DSLR, you have to have a very small aperture. You're talking about like a 1.2 or 0.95 or something like there. That's going to mimic that same look under those same conditions. And you got to hit focus on that, because if you miss focus, then it's out. On an iPhone, or like I said, most phone systems, you hardly see them miss focus because that computer processing is just always constantly up to date. And a lot of camera manufacturers are a little reluctant to consistently be releasing software to try and improve the autofocus. You see a lot of them now are going for that eye detection rather than face detection, trying to be faster, quicker, and sharper to keep up with phones, because that's going to be the big push right there, is just the size and just the convenience of it. So where does this iPhone stand for me? Now, if I'm comparing phone to phone, I am probably more of an Android person at the end of the day. If I'm looking at photos themselves and video, I do think that the quality is better as far as looks go from an iPhone. If I am a serious photographer and I'm wanting to use my phone more, I really did like the LG. The Google Pixel wasn't terrible, but the LG series, super easy to control the minute settings inside the basic camera app. Now there are probably some apps that you could get downloaded on your iPhone that would allow you more control, and there's always, you know, different modes, slow-mo, panoramas, time lapses, and even inside the photo that you're able to adjust now, and that just makes it easier and more effective. But at the end of the day, we always want something bigger and better, even if nobody is going to really ever see it in that content. You know, I see several of my photographer friends that we post beautiful pictures all the time, everybody, but they live on Instagram. Nobody is printing off their photos large anymore. That's why I am a huge proponent of, hey, you need to print one or two of these off to see it, and you notice things about your style and about the image that you didn't notice before printing it off larger than an 8x10. Even those 4x6s, 5x7s are great to start out with, because you get to see your work actually in a larger media, and you get to see it how, if anybody ever wanted it in that larger format, this is what it's going to look like. So now you kind of know, like, okay, hey, if this person wants me to get a photo of their product or of their business or of their family, and they're going to print it off and they're going to put it in a magazine, if they're going to put it in some kind of display, or if they're going to put it up on their wall, I'm going to need something probably rather different than my phone. I probably see cell phones being used in some kind of commercial work probably within the next 10 to 15 years. You know, first you're probably going to see it on commercial and movie sets, and then you're going to start seeing professionals out in the field that go from a huge backpack to just a phone. So I'm curious what you guys think. Let me know where you kind of stand. Do you think cell phones are going to be good enough ever to get into that commercial field? And then where do you fall on the Android versus iPhone debate? So I'm very curious about that. And if you guys have any questions more about the iPhone, got some family members that have the iPhone 12, so we can interview them and talk to them about the iPhone 11 or about the Nikon D750, write a comment down below. And I really appreciate all you guys taking your time and chilling out with me here today. So I will see you guys hopefully next week. I'm trying to release 2 videos a week. That's my kind of goal, mission for at least the next few months, and then we'll kind of reprocess. So until next time, I will see you guys later. Have a wonderful day, and bye. So today we're one more time.